What was promised to be a conflict lasting just a couple of weeks is now, well, it's entering a really dangerous new phase. We're talking mounting costs, unexpected turns. What started with some very bold predictions is now a story about some pretty harsh realities on the ground. So, let's break down exactly how we got here.
And the whole situation just got thrown into the spotlight with this urgent breaking news. A U.S. fighter jet has been shot down over Iran. And look, this isn't some training exercise. This is the real deal, the sharp end of a war that's escalating by the day.
And what's truly terrifying about all of this is that right now, as I'm talking, there's a perilous search and rescue mission going on. You've got the life of a U.S. pilot literally hanging in the balance. And the rescuers, they're taking direct enemy fire while they do it.
Okay, so let's just run through the facts as we know them. We have an F-15 fighter jet down over Iran. One pilot, thankfully, has been rescued, but another is still out there, missing. And on top of that, a second plane, an A-10 Warthog, also crashed in the area. The U.S. helicopters trying to find that missing pilot have already been shot at. And this is a grim milestone. That F-15 is the first American jet we know of to be shot down by Iran in this war.
This whole incident just forces us to step back and ask a really critical question. We have to look at this massive gap that seems to have opened up between what we were all told and what's actually happening on the battlefield.
Now, listen to this quote. The timing here is what's really fascinating. This was the official word from the Defense Secretary just 3 weeks ago. It paints a picture of total American dominance, right? It suggests Iran's military was basically useless. It's a very confident, very clear statement.
Which, of course, brings us to the question you can't avoid. If Iran's air defenses were supposedly destroyed, then how in the world did they manage to shoot down one of the most advanced fighter jets on the planet? The facts on the ground just are not adding up with the official story we were given.
And this really lays out the contradictions side by side. The claim was that Iran's air power was a thing of the past. The reality? An F-15 and an A-10 are down. The claim was that their military assets were neutralized, but intelligence reports say about half of Iran's missile launchers are still good to go. The threat was supposedly eliminated, yet they still have thousands of attack drones. The disconnect is it's huge.
And this disconnect isn't just about planes and missiles. No, it goes right to the very heart of the war's strategy and its timeline. What was sold as a quick operation is starting to look like something much, much longer.
Remember the initial promise? The president himself said it would be 2 to 3 weeks. Now, fast forward to today, and the U.S. military is actually building up forces for a possible ground invasion. And for anyone who's watched America's history in the Middle East, this whole pattern of a short war turning into a long, drawn-out fight, it feels eerily familiar, doesn't it?
And Iran? Well, they're not acting like a country that's about to collapse. They are digging in for the long haul. Reports show they're trying to recruit millions of people, even children. They're reinforcing their defenses, upgrading missile systems, laying mines, booby-trapping buildings. These are not the actions of an enemy who thinks they're about to lose.
This quote really just gets right to the heart of the risk, doesn't it? Even with the most powerful military in the world, history has taught a painful lesson over and over again. Being an occupying force in a country where the people are fighting for their homeland is a brutal, long, and often unwinnable fight. And as that timeline gets longer and longer, the costs, we're talking both in dollars and more importantly in human lives, are starting to skyrocket way beyond what anyone ever predicted.
So get this, the new White House projection for the cost of this war is now over $1.5 trillion. Just let that number sink in for a second. $1.5 trillion.
And let's be crystal clear, that is not the original price tag. That number is a staggering 40% higher than the administration's first estimates. It just goes to show how badly the length and the intensity of this whole thing were misjudged right from the very start.
So here's the bottom line. This expanding war, with its spiraling costs and these echoes of past mistakes, it stands in direct opposition to the very promises that were made to the American people. This is the core political problem here. A central vow of the campaign was to avoid being an occupier, to finally end America's involvement in these forever wars. And yet, the path we're on right now seems to be leading directly to that exact same outcome.
And that leaves us with one final critical thought. We've seen how the timeline has completely shifted, how the official story has split from reality, and how the costs have just exploded. So the question we're left with is this: when a conflict that was sold as being short and decisive becomes long and brutal, what's the true ultimate price that will be paid? Not just in money, but in lives.